Hello and welcome back to Popular is a Relative Term, episode 11. Take 5, believe it or not. This is actually the 5th time I've hit record and done this intro because apparently I'm not very with it today. So, I'm looking very pink on the side from the lights because I've moved the position of the lights. So hopefully they're a bit more dramatic and a bit more bright. And now I'm sort of glowing pink, which is definitely a good look. Right, what should we start with? I'm going to start with this again. Now, this is my 4th attempt at doing this bit. 5th attempt at the podcast, 4th attempt at doing this bit. Guys, you do realise you don't have to sit and watch the entire podcast. Like, the best way, let's be honest, you don't want to hear me talk for half an hour. So I would say the best way of approaching this and the best way of listening to me talk is to put me in your pocket and do something else. Because that's how I listen to my podcasts. I generally don't just sit down and talk for half an hour. And listen for like half an hour because I don't have that attention span. But if I'm doing something else, Bob, your uncle, I love a podcast. So I was just going to start off by telling you, you don't have to, just sit there and watch it, because I think now people have hopefully realised that they don't have to be fully committed to sitting and watching this. Maybe you guys will listen for a bit longer. Just a theory. Because, I've got to be honest, the podcast channel doesn't do well, the podcast never really did well, but it's taken an even further hit now it's moved to the new channel. It's fine, and it will be staying on the new channel, and I still very much enjoy making them, and they will still be coming. And to be honest, it's probably my most successful series, because we're on to episode 11, and there are a couple people who do still listen, which I find absolutely crazy. So thank you so much for listening. However, my main channel, I can't say has had a good week. I gotta be honest. I posted last week. We did the Photoshop challenge. Excuse me. Last week we did the Photoshop challenge, and it went decent, and people seemed to enjoy it. Last week we did the Photoshop challenge, and people seemed to enjoy it. So I thought, well, let's do it again. But with, no buts. It was the exact same video all over again. And you guys didn't seem to enjoy it. So that's the end of the Photoshop series, unless someone wants to... Sorry, I've just got my laptop charger here and waving it around because I need to fiddle with things. Unless... What was I saying? Geez, I shouldn't have a podcast. You guys didn't seem to enjoy that video at all. It's the worst in my last 10. It was a decent video, But basically, what I'm trying to say is I shouldn't make series, right? Apart from cooking in the kitchen, every time I do a cooking in the kitchen, it goes well, which is good news because fingers very, very crossed, Cooking in the Kitchen shall be returning for this Friday. Wahey! I know, I've said it now. Everyone go wild. And if you listen to this podcast, you will actually be the first to know about Cooking in the Kitchen. I'm yawning again, for goodness sake. I need to be more committed to this and go to bed at a decent time, just so that I don't yawn midway through my own podcast, which is definitely not a good sign. Hey, comment down below if you yawned when I yawned, because yawning is contagious, right? Where was I? Oh yeah, my channel's been copying it. Why are you still here? Why do you listen? Why am I still here? Why am I 4 minutes in and contemplating if I should start again for the 6th time? Right, we're gonna focus now. We're gonna keep going and we're gonna do this well. Let's talk about because I want to at least get like a coherent minute, because then I can take. Flipping heck, people are being noisy outside. It's really distracting. No wonder my brain's in a million places. I'll just blame it on the neighbours. I love the neighbours. It's not the neighbours. There's some work people out there. What was I saying? Because I need to have like a coherent minute at least. Because I'm now starting to put. I'm trying to put a clip on Instagram every week of the podcast, so that I can hopefully people will be like, that bit was coherent. Maybe the entire podcast is coherent. And then they come over here and I'm like, got 'em. Guess what? The podcast isn't actually coherent in real life. And then they'll feel completely conned. So, but I should do a better... Oh my god, I'm doing it again. Why am I still here? I should have left ages ago. What was that thing? I'm going to start Googling that. Because I should really talk... We'll talk about that in a minute. Jesus, my brain doesn't work from podcast form. Basically, I need to get better. Well, I need to be more like showy off in the way I brand my footage. Because I posted a clip onto Instagram last week of the start of the podcast because it was very, very bad. And I just whacked with a pen. It went flying. It was kind of a disaster. And so I posted that on Instagram, and I put it as the location, worst ever podcast. Which, thinking about it, probably doesn't do the podcast any good, let's be honest. Like, if you see worst ever podcast, you're not going to think, boom, that's a podcast I want to listen to. Oh, my cup of tea, I forgot about that. Still quite hot. Live Ned Burns tongue. Oh no, it's good temperature actually. Maybe the tea will calm me down. So I should probably brand my podcast better. If you want to be paid £0 an hour and brand my content, I was going to say knock on my door, but don't do that. Hit me up on Instagram. If you want to be my friend, hit me up on Instagram. What was I saying? See, my brain doesn't work. I should have like everything transcribed and then just do the podcast off a script. Because that would be so much better. Although it wouldn't be very authentic. That was it. Every time that I do this podcast, I have one of those things where you like question existential crisis. How do you say? Right. Existential crisis. I'm doing like that one finger type because I'm trying to hold my cup of tea at the same time. Existential crisis. Existential crises are moments when individuals question whether their lives have meaning, purpose, or value. That's what I'm trying to... I knocked my lights. There we go. That's basically every time I do this podcast, I have an existential crisis. Because let's be honest, I shouldn't have this platform. You shouldn't be listening to me. You know? What does it say? And then one day ago, Nicola Sturgeon begs Boris for cash as Scottish economy faces existential crisis. From the Daily Express. I'm sure that is 100% not exaggerated. Hilarious new Twitter account claiming to be Scottish border asks for help over, and then it goes. America's national parks face existential crisis over race. There you go. The news headlines from between 4 and 1 day ago. Well, it'll be 5 and 6. 5. That doesn't make sense, does it? Now it'll be 2 and 5 days ago when you're listening to this. Because it's a Did I say Tuesday recordings were better or worse? either way, it's not good. What? Let's be honest. Let's get back on track and talk about something I know what I'm talking about, rather than because honestly I've got no idea what I've talked about so far. We're 10 minutes in, and I've just waffled and drank tea. Oh, this one, it's not comical, it's not depressing, it's not really going to spike emotion, but I just thought it was something interesting. Living in the UK, like, well, according to my analytics, 52% of my audience live in the UK, and the other 48% don't exist. So, most of you live in the UK, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The BBC, I don't know what the rules are, but definitely with the BBC, they generally don't show brands. Like, if I wanted to sit here and I was on the BBC, I couldn't be like, just drinking my Tetley tea. I don't know if this is, I think this is Golden Leaf, actually. I don't know, it's tea, like, sorry guys. I can't see, living in the UK, you don't really name drop brands. As being on, every time I film something and it has like a logo in the back, I always question like, oh, can I do that? And yeah, I can, but well, at least I'm fairly sure I can. But it's just confusing because why do I have a platform to be able to speak? Right. Let's stop talking about that. Let's be honest. I've not watched much Netflix that week, so that rules out putting Netflix in the title. Because generally people are like, oh, I like Netflix, I'll watch that. I'm flinging tea everywhere. Fling, flong, flong. Right. That was all the ideas I had on my board. This is not good news. Right, we need to go off piste. Okay. I realised there was another idea on the board that I'm going to speak about now. We're going to be calm, and we're going to think about the human psyche. Now, let me write this time down, because this might be really educational, and I might want to stick this on my Instagram as the Instagram clip. Where's my pen gone? There it is. See, this is the entirety of this podcast, is fishing for Instagram clips. Right. There we go. That's sorted, taken care of. Okay. We're going to go deep into the human psyche. Now, everyone breathe with me. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Oh, my nose. Ow. I can feel it like reverberating around my brain. Right, in through the nose. And out through the mouth. Now, I'm sure you've heard this plenty of times before, but loads of people say you shouldn't worry about what's not in your control. And I've tried to take this on board. Hang on, drink a tea. I've tried to take this on board as much as I can in life, because it's really important that you live your best life and you're always happy and whatever. And so, don't know where I'm going with this. Basically, what I'm trying to... Let's not jump corners, okay? Calm. Breathe again. Out through the mouth. I should do this before all my podcasts, so I'm super zen when I come and join. So, whenever a situation arises and I think, oh crap, that's not good news, I take a step back and I think, can I control this? And if the answer's no, then I just relax. And I'm going to admit, sometimes I can't control stuff. And I just think, well, sod that, I'm annoyed anyway. And sometimes I can control the stuff. And I think, well, I can't control that, so it's not my problem. And I'm guilty of both sides, and you have to be careful about things like that. But, on the whole, I would say I'm fairly zen in terms of worrying about things that are out of your control. And that makes me feel good. And honestly, it really, really helps. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just try to be all like zen and like philosophy, but I guess there is no aim. Maybe I should just do breathing exercise and then talk about pointless stuff. No, we're gonna... See, do you know what I mean about having an existential crisis? Because every time I come here, I get to a point, I just think, Lord, this is so, so bad. Like, should I be really putting this on YouTube? You know, I mean, I'm going to have to because I need a podcast for tomorrow and we're 16 minutes in and I haven't really, can't be bothered to film another one. But there's got to be, maybe this is another situation where I need to stop worrying about what's out of my control. Because as I sit here and I breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, I calm down. And I think, Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Oh, whatever you call Disney, don't come for me. I'm sorry. Hey, that's a brand you can't use. Maybe I should just give up and stop this podcast. Also, no. Think positive, okay? We need to be... Welcome to Popular as a Relative Term, the podcast where Ned questions his existence. Yeah! I'm going insane. Someone please free me. Let me go. I don't want to be in... Well, we're not even in lockdown anymore. This is just me talking at my phone for 17 minutes and making no sense whatsoever. Right, we're going to revisit a topic and we're going to talk about it properly, okay? Everyone, please give me your blessings. If you're at home listening to this, I want you to put a single finger pointing straight down into your head, and then I want you to do the woe. And that is my blessing, okay? Right. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, what topic are we revisiting? Okay. We're going to revisit not worrying about what's out of your control. Okay. So, start again. Lately, I've been thinking about... Start again. Partly maybe I just shouldn't... This is where this podcast is getting to the point where it must be edited. Because I don't make coherent sense, ever. Right, we're going to stop. We're going to go. I like to think that I can keep fairly calm about things that annoy me when they're out of my control. Because, as I'm sure you've probably heard loads of people say before, don't worry what's out of your control, because you can't control it. So, whatever happens, happens, and you know you can't have you can't have affected the result, which I think is very, very true. And I like to say that I hold these ideas close to my heart. And I like to say I try to live by them. Because ultimately, if you can just be a chill person and like be funny and nice, that's like, what more could you want? So, things like holidays being cancelled, you know, inside I'm like, God damn it, I really wanted to go to Mallorca. But externally, well, internally as well, it's like this conflict. I'm going, God damn it, really wanted to go to Mallorca, but then I'm also going, it's okay, you can go next year, or you can have a different holiday next year, and you'll have a great time, and it's out of your control. There's nothing you can do, so might as well chill. And I'm fairly good at going, alright then, and then I'll chill. Which I'm quite proud of, and I don't know where I'm going with this. Maybe I'm trying to tell you, next time that you have this feeling of, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you anything, because that's not what this podcast is about. I'm not your mum. But just think, next time something is out of your control, just take a step back and go, can I control this? And if the answer's no, then just chill. You know, don't worry about it. And that's the vibe. Man, that got pretty deep. Maybe I should go back to screaming about myself having existential crises. What's the plural of existential crisis? Anyone has an answer? Let me know in the comments below. Right. Well, this podcast has essentially been one giant existential crisis. There has been no arc. There has been no good moments. There has been basically nothing. But at least it's a podcast filmed. And Cooking in the Kitchen should be back on Friday. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Actually, I'm not going to say that because I might not do that. I don't want to make any false promises. But please, everyone, just relax. Feel good about yourself. Don't worry about what's out of your control. And try not to have an existential crisis. And without further ado, I have nothing more to say. I shouldn't have anything more to say, so I should just stop talking. Goodbye. I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.